We got this LIte open range. Take a look at her. We'll go upstairs. You know, we got all this scaffolding here. I watch these guys on YouTube bouncing around on ladders. You can't do a good job that way. You gotta have the tools, you gotta have the equipment. We've got everything we need here to fabricate, like metal, all sorts of stuff. And if they don't have it, we just took the ladder off so we get this a little closer. But this is what we got. It actually seems like a better quality roof. I like the way that feels right there. I don't know, it seems a little weird right there. We'll see when we open it up. Had some issues right here. Bam. So they taped all that up. But otherwise, this looks pretty good. I mean, you got your typical die-core over there. Put more on, you know. Slobber it on there. That's a little crazy. And I get past this little ladder. That's the fine RV roof install machine right there. 6.0 Power Stroke Diesel. So this is us right here. This is what we got so far. Like I said, all they want you to do is just go along and put more on. You know, we're not a fan of that, that's for sure. So you can see this here. See how that peels up? I mean, I know I just cut it, but I'm still working my thumb around there. That's not a good seal. That's gonna fail. You can just peel that right up. That's nice and slick. So that's coming up, and you see all these craters. But those are when there's another one down there, one here. There's quite a few of them going across there. But what this is specifically is when the sun's UV rays sit on these. Well, I'll back up here. When the caulking is made by the manufacturer, whatever manufacturer, even that crummy die core we don't like, it's just poured into the tube, into the cartridge. There's air in there. So when you just put a strike down here, you do get air in it. So when the UV light sits on, it heats the air up, and then, you know, it pops. That's why we do 2 strikes. You do 2 strikes, what are the chances of having one air bubble over another? Slim to none. So you can tell on here they didn't even put anything on there. That's butyl. That's what that is. And that's why we don't use butyl, because again, the sun's UV light will dry it out, and it is, you can see how dry that is, see? It's just dry. Now that needs to be, you know, obviously we'll take that off and put a better seal on it. But around here, this should all be sealed. You know, when we release this, we will, and I'll probably run it all the way down there, but, you know, chances are you need to go around the windows, you got to go around all your latches, all your doors. These are the frameless ones, they call them, and there's a little gasket in there. We worked on a Viking, and it's up on our channel, but on that window of that Viking, it said change those gaskets every 2 years. That's crazy. That is crazy. You gotta take the whole window out. I mean, you could just open the window and then seal around it, and obviously open the window so you don't seal the window shut. But no insert trim on this, none at all. So, you know, we're not gonna take and replace all this guttering. We're not gonna do that. We're just gonna have to seal it. But hey, we got a couple of misses right here, it looks like. We can get another one right here. I don't know why, but that should have had a ring of caulking all around it, and we'll do that as well. You know, we'll put it on there. This being gray, we're probably not gonna, I don't know if I have any gray. I'll look. I may have some that may match that. So, but that's about what we got so far. Down here, we'll go around the other side. I just like to give an overview. I do it for 2 reasons. One, so you guys can see what we're working on. The customer can see what we're working on, what we come across, and so forth. But also, so if we ever have to refer back to it at all, I don't know, for whatever reason, you go, hey, what does it show on the video? Nope, it doesn't look like we've got a cover on here, and there's no cover on there. So we want to put covers on there. A lot of the reason why we want to put covers on, because we've got a couple of customers come back in and they either haven't closed these or somehow they've worked open. So we want to put the actual covers on there. We have one right here, but that's all we got. So obviously be replacing that. See all the cracks in here? That's where they want you to put more on, and that's just ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. You use a good quality caulking, you shouldn't have to keep going back around. They know, Dicor exploits your ignorance to roof systems. They know most people don't know anything about roofs. They don't know anything about caulking or sealants. So what they say is, hey, put some more on. The formula doesn't work. If you would have this on a commercial level, this type of caulking, this cheap stuff, and you had to go around and reapply it, by the time you finish like a big building, we'll say, you know, even a factory of some sort, really big building with acres of roof, you'd be back doing it all over again by the time you finished. So they know it doesn't work, but instead of having them reformulating it so it will work, they just go, hey, you know what? Let's just tell them to put more on. It's kind of like on you know, the shampoo. They increased the price, the quantity, and the sales of shampoo by putting one word on there: repeat. You know, and so people do it. Oh, hey, yeah, we got to wash our hair twice. You know. I mean, you should be able to get away with washing your hair like every 2 days. That's what I'm thinking, you know. I don't know. Or just shave your head. You do that too, you know. We got some caulking all up underneath here, which I'm hoping that's the flange to the actual. It looks like it. I've seen some where they have sealed all this. See, like that's all sealed shut. You don't want that sealed like that, because when it's sealed, then the water gets trapped in there, and that becomes a problem. So that's an access vent right there. That's all it is. They shouldn't say a vent, it's an access port in case you want to run some wires. I bet if you took that off, then you'd probably reach down, there may be some wires inside there. So on the air conditioner, see how low it is? There's just a gasket up underneath there. That's it, just a 3/4 inch gasket. And after a while, with all the elements and the, you know, just your basic environmental fallout like we got right here on the roof, how dirty it is, and you get you know, tree bark and just sprigs and mulch and pine needles, all that junk. It starts to dry out that gasket, and that's how they will start leaking. And when it dries it out, then it's going to shrink down. You get water penetration in there. So I don't know what year this is. This is a pretty good looking coach. I have no idea what it is, what year it is. You can see like we got another little issue right here, and you get water that'll travel down in there, and that can become a problem. That become a real problem. And this is the stuff that we look for. So when you go over your coach, here's another one of those air pockets that popped, you know, and all they do is go over here and do daub all over this. So like I said, I'll see if I got some gray that'll match this pretty close. It'll look much better. But if you have some of these to go around, see how that butyl is all cracked? So what I want you to do is you take a little knife and you're going to clean this out nice and easy. And when you clean that out, take that butyl out of there, then you can just go around and strike it with some caulking, okay? And OSI makes caulking, Lexel will work, clear caulking, you know, there's a lot of products that'll work. Just don't use anything that says RV on it. On the top here, you want to, like something like this, you want to try to get some friction and some warmth under your finger so you can see if it's going to fail out. See how it's kind of balling up? So more than likely we'll strike that out. We'll at least clean it down and see how good or bad it is. We may go over it with another strike. I like to try to do everything from this platform up. I don't want anybody to say, hey, I got a roof leak. And no, it's not a roof leak. It's coming from your window, or it's coming from, you know, the top of your slide out. It's coming from a light. It's coming. So, and since it's right in our face, we try to get all that. So then if you see anything, it's way below there, you know. But these are the things you want to look for in your coach. You want to make sure your lights are sealed all around here. And I would actually, when we do this, I try to seal the actual lens in there. I've taken some lights off and the lenses have water in them. So, you know, it just snaps on, but it's not a watertight snap. So you still can get some moisture and stuff in there. And like I said, I've taken quite a few off, and I've, you know, found that they're all still got water in there. Obviously the ladder, see all that butyl is all dried out? This is stuff, this is terrible stuff. Don't use butyl. Don't use butyl. You want to use a good quality caulking, and you know, and that'll adhere as well. That's what you want to do. See all the butyl on here? Clean all that out. all this. Well, you know, we're going to go around all the lights. I'll even go around that camera. And since we're going to end up taking this off, you know, I'll probably end up having to go down there. You know, I just want to make sure your basic stuff is done, but it really needs to be resealed. It would be a shame, because you can solve that problem for a few bucks with a tube of caulking. So, but like I said, this is a little better. It feels almost like a PVC roof. This is what this feels like. So, that's what it is. PVC is just another polyvinyl chloride. It's not a bad roof system. They try to use them on some RVs. They'll put them on there, but the TPO pound for pound is going to be a better product, because it, as a rule, you can see how thin this stuff is too compared to what we use. Even it being a little stronger, it's still thinner. See, look at there. So, and it's not bad. You can feel it. It feels better than some of the other ones we've done. But ours, we use commercial. I have a piece here. Hold on. See this mess we got going on? I'm trying to clean this shop. 2 weeks. Every time I do, there's something else. Should I throw this in here? Come on, you. I don't know if I can get this flat enough for you to see. We'll try. All right, this here. I mean, you can see this is just a much thicker product. This is at least twice as thick as this, at least. This here. And this is a structured membrane. So you look in there, see all those little squares? There's a mesh in there. That's what resists impacts from like tree branches and hail and things like that. So this is a commercial grade. This is the same exact product you're going to find on a hotel, office building, a library, a hospital. Same exact product. This is a 60 mil commercial grade. That's how thick it is. They go by mils on them. This is a 60 mil. This right here is about a 28. And there is some tolerances, even though if you would have mic it, put a mic on there, this may be like 58. And this would probably be like 25. So, but they do have some tolerances because of just the manufacturing of it. So, but anyhow, that's the product we're going to be putting on, and we'll be obviously heat welding and making curbs to elevate all of the air conditioners, elevate the antenna down there, we'll make a plumbing boot, we'll get rid of that thing. So everything will be all elevated. Here's another one of those access points right there. So we probably don't need all that, but we're going to tear this up. Then once we tear it up, I want to see what's underneath this. This decking doesn't look terrible, but I don't know if it's screwed down. I don't know where the wires are. I don't know if the AC duct lines, if they're taped right. But now's the time to check it. So we're going to tear it all off and we'll redeck this whole thing. So, all right, well, there's your rundown. We're going to get to work. We're going to start getting this roof deck up now. We get most of it. It's starting to get it all loosened up. And then they screwed them all down. And you don't really want to screw these. You'll end up splitting. That's not a split, but and you can potentially split them. That's why they don't put too many in. They only put, I don't think there was any in this row. I don't think there was. You ever screw? Huh? Maybe. So you can tell where they put them, but see how it starts to split it? And if you would have put them in series like that, you'd split this whole grain down there. These need to be stapled down. So. And there wasn't any glue either. You can see that there's not any glue. This is a radiant barrier sheathing. The whole purpose of this is to reflect UV light. However, it does not function when it's jammed up against there. In order for it to get its maximum benefit out of it, there should be a 3/4 inch gap below the decking to this face. And LP Tech, they make radiant barrier sheathing. They're sheathing. And they glue this on the back of their sheathing. But if you read their tech data sheet and how to install it, they tell you need to have a 3/8 cavity from this product to like insulation. So going on that same kind of concept, you would have to have that gap in there, right? It's not gonna be as effective as you want it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut it and we're just gonna set it back in there. We need to get exposed to this, because that's what we got to glue to. But this is how your ladder is put on. Those are the screws to the ladder. And what they did is they just put a couple of staples there for you. That's what's holding you from the ladder from coming off the edge. But we'll see. I mean, you got decking going over there, so the chance of it actually lifting up would be slim to none. But anyhow, that's how that works. But like I said, we're going to pull all this off here. And then what we want to do is we just want to go down and we want to check, like, let's see if I can see them right here. I want to make sure, see, there's a ferrule in there. See if there's a ferrule. We check to make sure that these wires are not getting compromised. And a lot of times, depending on where they place this wire, there'll be what's called a ferrule. And it's just a little piece of metal pipe, so you can't put a screw into the wire. But the inside of the ferrule is real sharp, and it ends up chafing the wire as the coach is moving down the road. It kind of wiggles a little bit and chafes it in there. So that's what we're going to look for. So we'll move all the insulation. Then the other thing we're going to be looking for is the air conditioning trunk lines. We're going to be looking for those. We want to make sure those are all, you know, all set, meaning like that they're taped up well. So it'll be a minute for us to get these off. We still got a few more screws. You can see they put screws in this one, and then I don't know if they, like you said, I don't know if they put them all down the hole. Last couple ones we did, they only put them on the ends, the perimeter. So we may just take a peek in here. I don't see anything in there. So I know I got one right there still, but I thought there'd be another one up here. But they may have spaced it out there. I don't know. When we take this off, we'll check it out. I just like to show the way it's constructed. It wouldn't matter anyways. But well, I guess that may answer a question. See how loose it is in the center? There's nothing in there. All they did was a perimeter. Because if that was the case, this would already be stuck right here where this truss is. See how much is moving? There's nothing up in there. No screws. So they're just getting cheaper and cheaper every year we work on them, it seems like. So that's what we want to check, make sure like those are all taped up, and that looks well. The way it's all taped up around that opening on there, and then we'll check this one, make sure. And then again, we'll check the trunk lines when we get all this popped out. But our goal, like I said, you need to glue these down. These rack and flex really bad. I mean, if you've watched one go down the road, they really do. They twist a lot. And what happens, all that energy gets transposed to your screws. It's got to go somewhere, and it's going to go to the fasteners. So what the adhesive does is act like a buffer. So it minimizes that taxing of the fasteners so they stay tight. That's what it does. All right, well, I'll show you more when we get more off of here. Decking is up. Now what we want to do is check all these like little joints and everything, make sure they're all tight. That's what we're doing. So we're going to move all this insulation out of the way. I just kind of flipped it up here so I could see. One of the other concerns that we have is like right here, this wire was sitting right there, and it'll just keep rubbing like this, and it'll literally rub a hole in it. It will literally rub a hole in there. We want to check that. See if I can reach these. Those are real tight. See? That already put a hole in it, I think. Well, not quite, but it's got a good scar. It won't be too long. We want to check all these joints like that, see how the tape looks loose. We want to check all those and get them tight. We'll retape them. But we noticed the wire down here that we're curious to know what happened. Right here. We're going to investigate that, and that's what we just want to do. We want to see what's going on under here. We don't want to put a roof down and find out. Got some loose tape right here. We don't want to find out after the fact and then go, hey, yeah, what do? You tear out a ceiling? Tear up a roof? So that's what we're going to do right now. And once we get it all clear, we're going to, like I said, move the insulation out, and then we'll be able to get up there better. Okay, so now what we're doing is going around, putting these little plates on here, so when the wire sits on it, we'll put a piece of tape to keep it there, but we want to make sure that they don't start rubbing into the ductwork like they are. We've got them in there. We glued them in. So we'll just put a piece of tape so that wire doesn't want to flop around a little bit. And then we're checking all the tape. We'll make sure that's done. There was a good one over here I saw, right here, this trunk line over there. We're going to get all that taped up. And that's what we're doing right now, going around everything like that, checking everything. And we'll put bushings in where they need to. A lot of these are drilled out through the ceiling, so there's not any, and they do have an aluminum frame down there. We'll probably still put bushings in there just on the safe side. I mean, they're only a couple of cents, so we'll put them in there. And again, like I said, that's what we're doing. So checking things out. make sure everything's good before we start rocking and rolling and putting the stuff back together. We'll find out afterwards, all right? Okie doke. And the next thing, the next stage, we'll get into putting the insulation back. And then once we get the insulation back, obviously we can start gluing and redecking, and we'll probably end up cutting up that radiant barrier possibly and putting it in there and just dropping it in. It doesn't really need it, but I don't know. We'll just stuff it down inside the bay. That's all we do, but we need to make sure these are clear. You can't put that radiant barrier on there unless you glue it down. So you'd have to glue it down, and then you'd have to glue the decking down to that, right? But like I said, you want that cavity in there. That's what helps it reflect. As far as I know, I mean, LP Tech, I know they make them, and they make the sheathing that I was saying, the radiant barrier sheathing, and that's the way they say, and I'm sure they did the testing on it. Well, we got most of the roof on here. You can see we've got it all glued down. Here's actually some of the adhesive coming up. And then this here is 99 inches. So the decking is only 96. So we got a 3-inch difference. So we had to jog one this way, that way, this way, that way. But that left us with that piece. We don't want to see that piece. So now what we did is we made up some nice trim. We put it on here, so that'll give a nice clean corner. And what we're doing is we are really gluing this sucker down. You can see how we got a trowel out and everything. We're making it work. And then after that, we'll put the protective strips, you know, on our joints. We're going to run them over, and then we can get the roof on. So we're moving along. We also filled in fixed all the ductwork. We fixed all that, whatever was loose that we could see. And we also put the bushings in. I think I showed that, I'm not sure, but these guys were moving pretty quick. When I went to try to get another clip, they had already had all the decking down. So let's see what I mean about this here. I don't want to see that on the roof, but so there's stock in here. We had to put stock in here to make sure we had some strength on this, and then we just filled this in. So like this piece of stock is really wide, and now I don't want to see that, so I'm going to put this to marry way over here like this. It'll cover all that sin, and then like I said, by the time you put the roof on, it'll look really good, nice and clean. So they also had all this caulking and booger up here. We're going to try and clean that up the best we can, because we got to get our gutter back up on here. So we'll try and see what we can do with that. Get out of the way unless you want to be on YouTube. All right, we got it all glued down. We already did the driver's side. Now all we're going to do is we just got to roll it out. It's already been, glue's been applied. We've got all our strips in there. We put our nice piece going down here for the shoulder. So we get all that, roll it out, and we're going to start cutting and putting our curves in. All right, here's what we got. Here's our date, September 2021. We are done. We are done. We got everything all heat welded in. Got our boots right here for our ladder. And now we get 2 strikes of caulking. We don't use butyl behind here anyways. We use an adhesive caulk. We do that. We're gonna slick down here. And everything is ready to go. We had to put on a couple of more of these. I like to see these on there because the last couple of ones that have come back, even for their initial inspection, when they've come back, the lids are open. And I don't know if they forget to shut them or if they're, you know, just kind of shimmying loose. I don't know, but I like to see these covers on them so we don't get any water damage, right? So other than that, everything's ready to go. We also put a strike up on here. Everything's all heat welded all in. We got our stands at the back of our AC. You can hear that they're running. And we got this, the front piece, what that does, it pushes everything down below our counter flash, so when the water comes down, it'll push it underneath and head off that way. Then we glue these in. Skylights, no screws. We don't put screws in them. We just glue them down with an adhesive caulk. It isn't coming loose. If your windshield don't come out, that's not coming off. So again, we get everything all heat welded. Everything's all the same. You can see how much water we get coming out of this one. So it's a blowing some cold air. Again, 2 strikes over everything. So let me tell you, this is the roofing right here. This is a 60 mil commercial grade TPO is what it is. This is TPO. That's why everything heat welds together. So you can see how thick it is right there. This on the back, if you look, you may be able to see some of the squares in there, and that's what basically we call this a reinforced membrane. It's got a mesh inside there that resists hail and also tree branches and things like that. So you can also see we got our plumbing on there. And the deal with those plumbing caps, even if they popped off, they're all sealed. Any water that would be coming down would just go into the holding tank. So that's a good plus on those. But getting back to the membrane, that's what it is, 60 mil. So if you need a sample or something, let us know, and we'll get one out to you. This one is tan. Obviously, this roof is white. This particular coach right here, they didn't have the same gutter style. so they didn't have an insert trim on this one. So what we did is just sealed every single screw. Obviously, we sealed every single one. We want to make sure nothing leaks, and we used all weather screws instead of what they used before, which were not. Also went around this light right here. So that's what we do. We'll go around everything, make sure it's all nice and tight. Now, this is not a DIY channel. We don't quote on social media. So if you have any questions at all, you can call this number, 423-475-7663, and we'll be glad to help you out. But other than that, like I said, it's not a DIY channel because there's a lot to do. And it's, as much as I like to help folks out and help guys out with some stuff, there's a lot to know. And I find that I spend a lot of time on the phone trying to explain what this is in order to explain what the process is. And I simply just don't have that kind of time. And I'm not trying to be ugly. It is what it is. I don't have that kind of time to do it. And I do get quite a few calls for it. Or, we'll get emails and so forth. And like I said, we're trying to put these together for the owner. We're putting a strike around these lights right here. That's what we're doing right now. And this thing is ready to go. You can see we got this other air conditioner. The reason why you didn't see the water is because it's coming out on this side over here. So we got everything back together and we're ready to get her out. Get another one in here. We also did the whole antenna, you can see, and put it up on a curb as well. Got these feet in the back, and what that does is just help balance the air conditioner, that's all. These aren't that big, but still it just helps it a little bit. Other than that, she is ready to go. No matter how many times we clean up this shop, it just gets so dusty. We got more stuff on it. So, well, awesome. Well, we appreciate you watching, and we'll see you on the next one.